You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
Welcome to Geek Nerd Tech, the show we break down geek news, tech news, nerd culture from a black and brown geek perspective. Is that right? I've only been doing this show for like a year and a half.
Yeah, almost 2 years, and we still ain't got it right.
Welcome to Geek Nerd Tech. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined to my left by my man Akili Shine. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Things are well.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pleasant. It's pleasant in sunny Southern California.
Beautiful.
Wow, it is.
How's the coffee treating you, sir?
Man, it's much needed right now.
Okay.
Like, I'm on super depleted mode right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Just keep it chugging.
Yeah, man.
Keep it moving.
What about you? How you living, man?
I'm living very medium.
like your t-shirt?
Yeah, like medium, like my t-shirt. I'm doing good. No, things are good. Coachella's coming up this weekend and next. We'll both be involved in that, and like a lot of stuff's dropping culture-wise in terms of Daredevil and some other cool movies or stuff. We're getting to that season, the festival season, the music season, the tech season. So it's a lot to talk about. Alexis, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I
yeah.
hope everybody's having an awesome week and Friday because it is kind of nice and warm out. So
Yeah.
I even got
Springtime.
my skirt on for today.
Just skirt and your cool
There it is,
Batman
your
tights.
My cool Batman tights. I can't show you because I have to put my leg like really high for you to
That
see
would
it.
not be appropriate.
No, it would not. So, but I will take
It's a
Instagram.
different webcam stream.
Hey! But if you want, you can follow all of my nerdy clothing stuff on my Instagram and Twitter, which is down here somewhere, I believe.
Cool.
Yeah, right there.
There it is.
Right there on the bottom.
Right there on the bottom.
We special show. We're gonna run down some tech topics as we usually do. But we have a couple special guests today: Andre Walters and Rodney Williams.
I'm excited to talk to these brothers.
A couple of entrepreneur types brothers who each have an app of their own.
Yep.
Who were both recently featured in a Huffington Post article / interview.
Yeah, they're doing excellent things, man.
Yeah. You're
Really dope.
talking about the STEM diversity is a subject that's near and dear to our hearts. We've been talking about
For sure.
and what our president has done to sort of like bolster that and how they are involved in that, taking advantage of that as well. They'll be online in a couple minutes, but first we're going to run down our normal topics. I want to talk. Well, I will say before you jump in that, I saw Furious 7.
Yeah.
And
What did you think? What did you think?
He was crying.
Was he crying?
Yeah, he told me.
I may or may not have been choked up. I'm not saying I was crying.
How did you feel about the CGI at the end?
I wasn't boo-hooing like Akili was in After Earth.
Oh my goodness!
It's okay.
You're just terrible.
Will Smith wasn't gonna die, Akili. It's okay. No.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I was look, the movies. It was as ridiculous as these movies are. It was extra ridiculous, but I liked it. It's still over the top. It's
You are
great.
a super fan.
I'm a super fan also.
I'm a fan.
Word.
I'm an unapologetic fan of the franchise.
For sure.
1 and 4 through 7. I'm a fan of. And I think the CGI Paul Walker face. There's a couple times where you notice his brother. There's a full action sequence, probably about a 10-minute action sequence where he's in the shadows, which is fine. It was a good action sequence, but like he's in the shadows. But I was surprised by. I'm not saying that. No spoilers, but I'm surprised by the way they sent him off. I thought it was very touching and poignant.
It's okay. You don't really have to spoil it because apparently it's all over the internet.
Yeah, right.
The ending.
I was going to say, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I think it's just really awesome that we're at a place with our technology where they could actually use his brother or his brothers as a villain stand-in and then stitch his face on there. That's crazy to me that we had the ability to be able to do that and have some sense of realness with it. So I think that's really dope. I look forward to seeing the movie, but I'm not a stand-in-line guy like you.
Oh man, sorry. You're watching on your iPhone, dude. you take a visit to England or China and
oh my word.
and, teleport to China and watch it on your phone.
So how many stars would you rate it?
I do it in terms of Brazzies.
Oh, Brazzies. I'm sorry.
So I'm
I
gonna
always
give it-
forget.
I am going to get. I gotta get the pistol.
What?
No.
I give it 3.5 Brazzies.
I'm gonna get the pistol.
Out of what? Out of 5?
3.5 out of 4 Brazzies, or four Brazzies out of 5 Brazzies. I don't know. I haven't perfected the Brazzie rating system yet. I'm not sure if it's 5 Brazzie max,
bro.
but what's wrong with the Brazzies?
I can't do it. You died.
Yeah.
The Brazzie Awards.
The Brazzie Awards.
Look for Brazzie Awards in 2018.
Oh my word.
All right.
I don't even want to know what those the categories are.
yes.
They're probably really terrible.
There will be a lot of that involve women. I'm kidding. All right, so moving on. But yeah, it's a good movie. You should definitely check it out. But something else that's coming that I want to check it out. HBO has a giant premiere week on Sunday. It's a big night for HBO on Sunday. All of our favorite shows are coming back. Game of Thrones is back. Veep is back, and also Silicon Valley is back. And HBO has done some really cool things to promote Silicon Valley. They're doing it through Twitch, which is something I don't really. It's not really my thing, but apparently
Twitch is huge, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's owned by Amazon. They bought it, I believe, in the summer for $970 million. Before that, it was called Justin TV, and essentially it was for like avid gaming fans who would like to, I'm sure like Alexis is right up your alley, who would like to watch like the gameplay, and you're able to do that, with the live stream. So it's kind of similar to like Periscope and Meerkat, but it's very niched and it's very specific in the sense that it's only targeting people that love video games.
Yeah.
But what's dope about this is that they're now going into different fields like music, like film, like TV, and so I mean it's cool to see the integration with a TV show that's about technology and social media, and putting it on this platform so that fans and the audience can interface and view it through that system. I think it's dope.
Yeah, because remember when I brought up that if you wanted to watch video game gameplay, CJ, who's a good friend of mine, who he does not retro games, but classic games. So like he'll do like Mario or any of that kind of stuff. Like he actually has his NES like attached to like the streaming equipment to do that, and I think it's really awesome. And again, if you want to see him, twitch.com/thatcj. I love him so much, and there's a lot of people on there, so I'm really glad that they're actually doing something that's a little bit different than just video games.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's really cool.
I read like a statistic that like Twitch in terms of like downloadable or viewed content, it's like number 4. In all of Techland, so it's pretty up there in terms of like the viewership, in terms of the audience and the reach that they have. So I mean, I think like again, them adopting other forms of entertainment through their platform, I think is a very smart move.
Okay.
So yeah,
I agree. I mean, there's just one thing that I watch. I'm not sure it's on Twitch. There's a guy who has like literally millions and millions of hits on YouTube who does these GTA GTA playthroughs, which is like who knows? He does full blown like 90-minute playthroughs of heists, which I think is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And then
CJ does like 4 to 5 hour heists on GTA.
4 to 5. But I checked the views,
retarded.
and it's like 1.2 million views of like a 90-minute.
Super geeked out right there.
Yeah, I can like put like a lot of people will usually put it on like in the background.
Yeah,
and like people will just have it. It's like like if someone was listening to like Pandora, but they rather listen to someone who's talking about like the video games. You can look at it for a split second, and then go back to work.
Wow.
Yeah, like I think last time he did a 5-hour stream of GTA heists. I think there was about 600 views, and then it just kind of like boosted up from there and went like in the thousands somewhere.
That's
absolutely
absurdly ridiculous. let's move on. Finally, if you're an iPhone user and then you have downloaded the new iOS, was it 8.3?
Yep.
8.3. You will notice that there are finally some diverse emojis.
Some brown skin on the emojis.
It's about GD time.
I don't know about this yellow one though. What's up with that?
Well, so what they're trying to do is have like the past emojis have been incredibly popular over the last few years, and there's been a huge clamoring that they're only white hands, white faces, and some of the quote unquote diverse folks that they use, like the guy with the turban, is almost caricature-esque. Caricature-esque. But what they've finally done is they've added some new emojis, and they've added multiple shades. Now,
that's nice.
Which is great. And now the gold ones represent sort of the generic ones, like the happy face. What they're trying
is
to
that
do
what that is?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they still have all the happy faces, which are gold, and then they'll have like a generic face picture of gold. So when you see a gold emoji, that's Emoji's word of saying,
Hey,
like,
man.
hey.
Okay.
I
love the little Space Invader.
I gotta say 2 points on this.
Well, I got a couple points too. Let me finish one thing.
Okay.
So what they did initially, they were going to go just with black and white, and then that had an initial launch was just black emojis and white emojis, and that was a problem. So they, and rightfully so, did shades, multiple shades, because there are brown people, there are light skinned people, there are paler skinned people, fair skinned people. So I think they did a great job on that. The diversity of faces is not so great, like on Bitmoji, like I use all the time, but but I think it's a great job and a good thing. The last thing I'll say, and I'll let you hear your comments, is they also have added a lot of diversity in their coupleship. So they have a gay couple.
That's nice.
They've got a male couple, a male couple with a kid, a male female couple with a kid, a female couple with a family. They do not have diversity in the skin color of those. So apparently the only gay people out there are gold gay people. But
maybe they're doing it as like there's no color.
Yeah.
Exactly. I will say
this.
First point, and I'm big on symbolism and presentation. I just think it's very interesting how you have the first and the last. But I'm just saying. I read it as such. And then another thing too, if you didn't do the update, if you didn't do the 8.3 update, and you sent a shaded if you sent a brown styled version of emoji to someone that didn't do the update, what they would see is an alien symbol, and I think that's very ironic. So anything that's not a white emoji would be represented as an alien.
I don't think they did that on purpose.
Why not a strawberry or like a fire truck? Why an alien?
This very much reminds me of the David Allen Greer speech in Boomerang. Of the Martin Lawrence speech. The Martin Lawrence speech in Boomerang, when he describes pool as the most racist game ever. Like, the white ball knocks the shit out of all the other balls. And the last ball it gets is the black ball.
It's true.
And the green is the earth.
Exactly.
The green full table is the earth.
Hey,
that's a great Martin Lawrence monologue from Boomerang.
See, guys, I don't really think like that far into emojis. I really don't. Man. I mean, I understand it, and I am glad that they are kind of broadening their selections. But in my brain, I don't use emojis that much. So I'm kind of like,
Well, I think it's good because and we'll move on from this because we're talking way too long about it. But the thumbs up and the fist bump, it was really just annoying to have the white thumb and the white fist bump to do all that. So I'm glad.
But I mean, I was going to get you on.
Please, let's not.
I was speaking to you though.
Okay, you're right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're ridiculous. Moving on. We're almost in Apple Watch. It's almost Apple Watch.
How exciting! How exciting!
Apple Watch 30.
Why do I sense sarcasm in your voice, Akili?
Well, Akili's on record of being out on the Apple Watch. I'm on record of being in on the Apple Watch.
I'm in the middle.
And Alexis is on record as being sort of like, and nebulous about it. But I will say the reviews are out, and of course they are mixed.
Of course,
yep.
So. Look, I think that conceptually, I don't want to spend too much time on this. We spent a lot of time talking about the Apple Watch. I just think conceptually, the idea of it's really just it's one of these things where it's how you look at whatever prism you're viewing it through. Some people are like, I've already got I'm gonna reach in my pocket to pull out my timepiece. Why do I, this? I already have a timepiece in my pocket on my phone. I have all these devices on my phone. Why do I need this? I get that argument. My argument is because it's cool.
Okay, my argument is it's cool. If you got the disposable income to purchase another $350 plus, go right on ahead.
I'm rich.
But is it really adding to your experience? Who knows? It's yet to be proven. Well, I have a Fitbit. I don't think of course, it's not as sophisticated as the Apple Watch with all the apps, but it does what it needs to do. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the entry point is $1,000. So hey, you're gonna spend $1,000?
I don't know. I'm spending like $3,000.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll see. All right. So we'll move on from that. Last but not least, last we're going to touch on is this the first Weed Tech IPO.
Yeah, someone explained this to me because I kind of read about it, but I haven't done a lot of research on it.
This is right up your alley, Akili.
Yeah, it is. I've definitely learned a lot from you as my mentor.
Okay.
You know how to roll.
No, I do not.
So silly.
I feel like this story was interesting in the sense that the App Store kind of like shut down this company because it was promoting the sale and usage of marijuana, and they were saying that in terms of the morality of it or the values of it, it didn't coincide with the Apple brand morals. And so I mean, I think that it was later overturned because they petitioned it, and they got even like a high-powered senator or a politician to even like the volley for them and fight for them. But I mean, I think in this age where I mean marijuana is pretty much used by the majority of people, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I feel like we're going to see more technology companies, more app companies that are going to be harnessing marijuana and technology. So I think you have the normalization of it, the decriminalization of it, and now you have it being used within our everyday tech stuff. So I think it's cool.
I think kudos to Apple for allowing this to happen. I think that as always we talk about this all the time, the technology curve is always far ahead of the legal curve, and oftentimes far ahead of the regulation curve. The last thing to break through in this team is usually these individual providers, whether it's Amazon or Apple or Facebook or whatever, and with their own set of rules and moralities. I think the bottom line is, as a culture, there's certain things that we are now moving past. Gay marriage, the legalization of weed in most states. These are things that are happening to the culture, and it's about time that our laws catch up with our culture, and our technology and our companies catch up with this culture. I mean, so kudos to Apple for allowing this to happen. I mean, I think the first thing, when mass roots sort of broke out and they were like the Facebook for stoners, it's not exactly the right messaging. I think, sort of fixing their branding and fixing their messaging and realizing this is sort of something that can be used as a genuine business and a genuine tool for those out there in an industry that's already exists. Like, I think it's a fantastic idea. So these guys are going to do very well for themselves.
I will say really quick, my last note is I think it's more so. I mean, you have proponents that are for like the war on drugs and making sure that marijuana is not legalized, and then you have people that are for it, obviously. And so I think, as it relates to a company, an app company, I think that's your freedom of speech, your civil rights to be able to communicate through that way. And I think that's what the argument is: let people decide versus have a company decide it. Let the people decide. Let that be voted on versus iTunes or Apple come in and say, oh, hey, this company can't have this app because it doesn't coincide with this value system.
Right.
It's a fine line. So how do you determine whose value system is correct? What is the value system? What can and can't you do? So I think the fact that they repealed it and allowed them to use it, I think is good.
Good. We're not going to talk about this, but you should check it out. There's an amazing conversation about Phyllis Klotman, who did this.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Well, I mean, you want to touch on it right now?
I mean, we
don't touch on it just really quick because I want to get through these guests. But like on NPR's Code Switch blog, which is a great blog if you want to check that out, they really got into what Phyllis has done, and go ahead and speak on it.
I mean, I think it's phenomenal. She just passed away, and she was an archivist. And essentially, she collected 3,000 films that captured the Black experiences from the 19th century to the 20th century. Yep. And I think it's just phenomenal, her work and what she's been able to do in Indiana specifically. Yep. But just through the academic environment and being able to provide this visual history of Black people, of our experience. I think it's great to see as a story, and just to have like these images that she went almost door to door collecting this type of stuff. So like she was like very grassroots with her approach.
Specifically our cinematic history. Exactly. I mean our history through cinema as well. It's starting way back with Birth of a Nation.
A lot of that is lost.
Yeah, and Birth of a Nation, which is not the most progressive movie ever.
It's not. Yeah, that's a very nice way of putting it.
To say the least. Yeah. But it is depiction of us, props to her. And again, check that out on Code Switch, which is a great blog and a great article. We have a couple of guests which we talked about at the top. Andre Walters and Rodney Williams. We're going to talk to them in 1 second about STEM, a subject near and dear to our hearts, and something they had a good conversation with on the Huffington Post about, and some of the things that they're into. They're a couple of young entrepreneurs. But before we jump to them, I just really quickly, Alexis, want to ask you about really quickly Mortal Kombat X. Go.
All right, Mortal Kombat X. The character list has been, the fighter list has came out. We have 29, I believe, all together, new and old. The newest ones that you'll probably see that I wasn't expecting to be on here is Predator.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, Predator. There's one more Jason, and I forgot her name. I think it's like. What is it? Tanya. But but there are new and old, so of course Sonya's still going to be there, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, all of that. That hasn't changed. It's just that if you've seen the trailer is gorgeous, and and if you've seen the 4K trailer, holy shit, it's great.
Right.
But the game's going to be coming out soon. Everybody is actually already pre-ordering it. And just, if you look at all the new costumes that they have, it is phenomenal. I am excited to see how Predator is going to do. I will be buying that right when it comes out.
I want to mention that because that's just a seminal game for folks of a certain generation, including my generation and your generation, Akili, and beyond. So it's back, and back. We'll see what, and even your generation, Alexis.
Well, no, I mean, I've always been. That was my first fighting game that I played. That my mom didn't realize how graphic it was.
Yeah, it was one of my first fighting games.
And also, it's kind of actually my favorite guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That movie's no good. But anyway, a rough left turn transition into something very more seriously. Diversity in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and getting us meaning black and brown folks more involved in this. We repeatedly are, or historically, over the last few years have been, somewhere in the mid-20s and below in as a nation in this area. And then if you extrapolate that out to where we are as black folks, it's
even lower. It's dismal.
Lower.
Very dismal.
Abysmal. On the line right now, I believe they're on the line. We have a couple of gentlemen who I mentioned before, who are very active in this and have some things to say about it. We'll talk about them. We have Rodney Williams and Andre Walters. Rodney is has developed something called Listener. Listener from listener.com. I'll ask him about that. And Andre has something called from which is also dope. I like both of these. I like the idea of both of them. But we'll get into those in a second. But first of all, gentlemen, Rodney, it's great to have you on the program.
It's great to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
For sure, without question.
And Andre, nice to talk to you as well.
Yeah, nice to talk to you as well. Thanks for having us.
The voice you hear right now is that of me, Joe Braswell. Akili Shine is right next to you.
Yes, sir, man. I applaud what you guys are doing, man. It's good to see us in this space, and you guys are doing great. You guys are doing great things, man. So I applaud you.
Thank you.
Before we get into some background on you guys, let me do the other way around. Before we get into the conversation on STEM, tell me a little bit about you guys. Let me start with you, Andre. Give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. My background, actually, I'm a lawyer by trade. I'm actually a recovering lawyer, is what I like to refer to myself as. But my company's name is Yuno, Y-U-N-O, and we have a social commerce company. And our message is that, individuals are too important to pay full price. And, what we do essentially is we reward users for buying products through Yuno and telling their friends what they bought. In a nutshell, through Yuno now, what we say is that what you pay is really up to you now. And that's the movement that Yuno is marching towards.
Right, that's fantastic. Now, when you say you reward, just to elaborate on that, unpack that a little bit for me. When you say you reward users, what does that mean specifically?
Yeah, I mean, so, right now, users essentially can buy through Yuno and get actual cash back when they buy a product through Yuno.
That's cash. And
they also get, actual cash, you also get cash when other people buy through you. So just think about the last time that you told someone about a cool movie or something to see, and they took you up on that recommendation and went to buy that ticket, but what did you get for it in the end? Right. Probably nothing if you're like most of us, right? So. We saw a real opportunity there to help people to actually do something about it. We just refer to social capital of people.
For sure.
And we found a way to help them leverage their social capital, through
Great.
That's dope, man.
That's dope. We'll get back to that in a second. Rodney, why don't you tell me a little bit about Listener?
Awesome. Listener.
I'm sorry.
3 years. Started this in 2012.
I'm sorry. Maybe about you first. I'm sorry. Let's get this about your background and then about Listener. I'm sorry.
My background.
I apologize.
Yes. My background, I was at Procter & Gamble in brand management prior to Listener. Prior to that, I was in government. Always obsessed with marketing and technology. Was the first marketer to co-write a few patents for P&G. That's kind of when I got obsessed with the technology that we currently created, called Listener. The technology is, think of it as a dog whistle that actually can communicate the devices. I like to call it the most efficient way to connect one device to another, as long as there's sound or a microphone.
Oh, wow.
So think of us as alternatives to Bluetooth in some cases. We connect to devices and connect to media around devices really, really efficiently.
Wow. Now, is it your view to sort of like, sort of overtake that Bluetooth technology, or is it do you view yourself as a companion to, or a competitor, maybe in overtaking Bluetooth?
I think it's more so a companion, or in some cases it's definitely a winner. Think of it as, because it is an audio file, right? Bluetooth could never live in a TV show, could live in a song, but an audio file could. And what could you do if that file could also transmit data about that particular song or movie or anything? So in some use cases, it's extremely powerful, and it can do things that Bluetooth can't do. And in some cases, I can connect a phone to a phone way faster and more efficiently in terms of battery drainage than Bluetooth could ever do.
Indeed. I want to ask this. We know the content is king, but even more over than that, the experience, how you experience that content. So you guys both talk to me about the experience through both of these platforms that you're trying to present to your audience. Like, what are you trying to communicate in that sense?
Go ahead, Ron.
No, go ahead, Andre.
The experience that we really are trying to go for, again, I mentioned earlier about leveraging social capital, but beyond that, we think that there's this space here where individuals love products, they love buying products, they love telling their friends what they bought. They actually have an entertainment experience around products and things that they buy, and we really felt like there was a place for that. And so right now, for example, and Facebook is a great platform, but typically you go there to take a look at people's pictures, kind of see what your old girlfriend or boyfriend looks like, and now we think that there's a space where, hey, look at these cool sneakers I bought, or whatever, right? This Brooks Brothers tie. People want to enjoy themselves through other outlets and other platforms. I think Instagram does a good job there as well. But what we think in particular is, where do you go to really leverage that influence right now? Social capital, for example, like you can like something on Facebook, but what really comes out of that like, or, even if you comment on something, what comes out of that? I think, is looking to give people a place where they can do everything in the same place. Right. So it's a real bridge, between e-commerce and social media at the end of the day. That's really what is aiming to do.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. What about on your side, bro? In terms of the experience that you're trying to create for your audience.
For Rodney.
Definitely. I like to say, our tagline is actually power experiences inspire audiences. I think, we all know how important the cell phone or our smartphone is to us and how we carry it around us. It allows us a great channel to communicate. So, from a very experiential level, our business actually sells to other businesses, from a B2B model, but we enable, one of my favorite examples is that, we're working with sport teams where our technology will actually be playing at the stadium. And imagine getting up from your seat, and before you get back to your seat, it says, hey, here's what you just missed. And you're like, how? But it's actually the way that's happening is our tones are connecting to those devices, understanding where you are within that stadium, and also triggering and delivering you content relevant to what you're doing in real time.
That's dope.
Yes, that's an example. My favorite example is really simple. Imagine sitting on your couch at home, because that technology could also be broadcast through television. But imagine sitting at home, someone hits dunks a ball, and your phone vibrates, and then all of a sudden you can toggle to different camera angles that are completely synchronized with the replay that you're watching in front of you. These are examples of connecting the device with the audio around you using a technology like this.
That's crazy, man.
That's fantastic,
man.
So I want to transition a little bit and talk about this STEM diversity question, and this is something that Akili and I talk about all the time on and off mic. Sort of the lack of there's basically the lack of us in the tech space, especially you see that the opportunity seems to be greater than it's ever been with the proliferation of all these apps and the app world and where we are with some of the digital opportunities that are coming in media as well as in good old fashioned science and technology. But with that being said, and with all this being such a gigantic youth movement, there still seems to be a complete lack of diversity in women and minorities. I wonder, like you guys being, sort of in this space, your thoughts on what we can do to sort of change that, and number one, and also how did you guys find yourselves as young men, like in this space, and how many of you guys do you see around? That's 3 questions. But Andre, I'll start with you.
That's okay. I think the big thing is that, today, first of all, technology, if you're not in it, it's scary, right?
Yeah.
Today, basically, everything has some sort of, center around tech, right? So, for me personally, I grew up, I call myself an internet kid, right? I grew up in the internet. I grew up watching the .com era, and I really wanted to be a part of it. And I think the issue now is that, underrepresented individuals in particular, the thing about the tech game is you have to have capital, right? There's a stat out there, a recent stat that says, 1% of venture capital backed companies have an African-American founder, for example. If you don't have capital, you can't build these things. Wow. And so I think one of the things that both Rodney and I are doing are really, we're just trying to lead the way. We're trying to lead by example and hopefully show people that it is possible. It's a lot of hustle involved. It's a lot that you have to do to bring your dreams to life, but it is possible, and hopefully people will be inspired by it, and get some hope out of that. So I think that's really where we are. Clearly there is a lack of diversity, but there are a number of things happening nowadays that I think are going to change that, and we're happy to be at the forefront of it.
For sure. Let me ask you a question just related to that. Like when it comes to the whole the venture capital game and specifically in Silicon Valley, do you find that it's a lot like it is? For instance, I come from the media world. I come from Hollywood. A lot of the reasons why you don't see a lot of black films and television and those things because the people making decisions aren't black. The people who greenlight this stuff don't really understand or get or seek out diversity because the people at the top are not diverse. Is it because most of these VCs who are funding these things aren't black? They're not looking for black entrepreneurs. Is that to be? You think that's something to do with it, or is it just we're not there to be able to pitch our stuff?
I think it's kind of a combination of both. Go ahead, Rodney.
Yeah, I actually think that, and I'm going to go even. I say for even the position that I am in, I think that they're looking for the best company, the best idea, and the best team to get it done.
Right.
And I do think they're doing that. I think that reality is that we're nowhere near where they're looking. We're not nowhere near where they are. And visibility to where we, the visibility to us is just limited. I think I do believe that. And in most cases, and I think Andre would agree with, like, when we go to pitch, it's like, wait a minute, I actually like this idea. Wait a minute, where are you? Where are you from? Where did you, like, it's almost like, where are you hiding?
Right. Plain sight. Plain sight. Hiding in plain sight.
The core thing is we can figure out how to get that visibility or more awareness. I think that it will grow, but I just think that's a big part of it.
I want to follow.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I think a lot of it, and Rodney and I have had this conversation, right? Like, there is no blueprint readily available for how to do this, right? And I think a lot of it is, as somebody mentioned it here on this call, but it's insight, right? It's understanding where to be discovered, so to speak, right? So my team and I just took a trip out to Silicon Valley, and we met with, 3 venture capitalists while I was out there. But, we had to actually go out there and go meet with them. They're not going to necessarily come to us, right? So that's part of it, too. You have to have that sort of hustle. But I would agree with Rodney to a large extent that, yes, it's just about getting on the right radars at the right time.
Sure. I would say that, us as people have always been inventive, especially through our struggle in this country with slavery. Like it's just a long list of black inventors and people that have been innovating in all different industries. And I think oftentimes we don't applaud, our own accomplishments and vocalize them and kind of like pass them along. And I think that a lot of us don't have the financial literacy or the entrepreneurial know-how to be able to direct ourselves into building an industry. So my question to the two of you is, did you guys come from a home that kind of like that nurtured that? Did you have mentors? Like, how did you kind of like have that sense of self for yourself to be able to point you in the direction that you're on now?
So my background, my family, I grew up in Baltimore. Family was originally from Jamaica. I had a stereotypical Jamaican family where I like to say that my dad did everything. He was, he was an architect, a plumber, a carpenter, and then he had his own business. And he never went to school. And my mom had 5 jobs the same way. So, that's just what I grew up in. And so I went to college. I followed the same suit. I did 4 degrees. I felt like I needed it all. I always, I have a natural disdain for authority. Like, I always asked why. I had a problem with it. I appreciated it. 10 years ago, I made a decision that technology was going to change our lives, and that I don't need to understand how to code to understand how technology could change my life. Technology changing your life is like an insight. It's a consumer value proposition. It's the difference between 100 pockets and your pocket, and the way Steve Jobs explained the iPod versus how an engineer would explain that I have a hard drive that could, load a gigabyte of data. No one cares about that.
Right.
Everyone cares about 100 songs in your pocket. So I really, honestly, that's one of the pieces that I really just honed in on a long, long time ago. And as technology and these ideas like Listener came to mind, I remember that feeling when I had it, and I knew I had it. I knew I just needed to tell someone who could bring it to life. And that was how this thing all started for me.
That's dope, dog.
Well, it's funny. I've known Rodney for a little bit now, and I had no idea his family is from Jamaica. So, in the words of our president the other day, Wagwan, that's what he said, right?
Right.
So, but for me, it's funny. My family as well from Jamaica, Jamaican immigrants. My father, cleaned buildings at night, worked security during the day, always had multiple jobs. Same thing with my mother. Neither of them went to college. But what they did have, or what they preached, was this education thing, right? The value of education, and we really hooked on to that, myself and my siblings. And so, I think it was always one of those things where I wanted to achieve something great in life. As a kid, I always said, hey, I want to be a lawyer, and I just followed that path. And eventually, got out of law school and was able to work as a lawyer for a while. But similar to Rodney, I've got tons of ideas all the time. And I couldn't stop them. And I think that's when I realized, I think you're an entrepreneur, and it's probably a better path for you. And then came about, and I think the thing about that we're really trying to do, by the way, is, we're trying to represent what we consider to be the underdog, the folks that essentially drive commerce, but don't get a lot of credit for it. And, basically their social capital is being utilized, and they don't really get a whole lot for it.
That's very
Meanwhile,
true.
other, folks are making billions. And I think it's a lot of our people, for example, that are doing that.
You're right.
A lot of our people are making this happen in commerce. And, even though a lot of us may not be cash rich, my family was never cash rich. We grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York, the first 5 years of my life, and so, with 5 people, by the way, in that apartment. But we're never cash rich, but we are rich when it comes to our network, right? We know a lot of folks. We have heavy influence.
That's right.
You don't have to look further than hip hop culture to see what we're capable of doing.
That's right.
And so at the end of the day, I think for us, that's really what inspires me to go. I want to be a voice for people who otherwise don't have a voice. And I think that's what both Rodney and I are in a great position to do, and what we're determined to do.
I have one follow-up question in terms of you guys' own pathway, in the sense that, when I went to college, a lot of the kids, when they would graduate, they want to start a band, and now it's like kids go to college, now they're actually forming companies to become startups themselves. So you could even see within the hip hop community, a lot of our successful hip hop artists would have other ventures in like alcohol brands or fashion brands, and now they're venturing into technology. So utilizing the skills that you guys have, how big is mentorship a part of your own personal brand and I guess value system, in terms of bringing your skills back, your expertise back to kids in high school or even college that may not have like the counselor that's guiding them, or have the teacher that they can go to get to have those questions answered? Like, are you guys bridging the gap in that sense?
Yeah, so I'll take it first. Absolutely. I look at Rodney as a mentor, for example. I mean, literally the way Rodney and I met, my director of promotions here, her husband went to the same business school, Howard B school, as Rodney, and knew him. And at our recent, Christmas party, I basically made that point. I said, it's just not a lot of brothers in tech. And he said, you know what, you should meet this guy named Rodney, who's in Cincinnati. He's got this company named Listener. I said, what? I was shocked that somebody else was out there trying to do basically the same thing. And, I looked him up, and eventually I just said, hey, Rodney, let's spend a day with each other and really get to know each other and share some stories. And it was one of the best things that I think I've been able to do on this whole, journey, because he and I really bonded, and he really could shed light on a lot of things that I was feeling and thinking, that I just need to see an example of it. And I told my team, Rodney showed me the next level, is what he showed me, what the next level looks like. So in terms of, for me, I don't take that lightly, and I feel like it's my obligation to do the same thing for other folks. So I'm really big on mentorship. And folks have actually reached out recently, even a lot, since these articles have been coming out about STEM diversity. And I take every single one of them, and I've met with, a lot of folks. I really want to pay it forward. I think the best thing that we could do is to share the blueprint with people who have that question, what do you do? Because Rodney shared it with me. And so I'm definitely going to share it with others. That's our obligation. And so, that's the point.
That's great. I want to loop it back. Oh, go ahead, Rodney.
I just want to reiterate how important that blueprint is. It's something that I say in my company is that, like, I was mentored by someone who was a startup guy. When I said I wanted to do the startup thing, he happened to be, when I moved to Cincinnati, was one of the closest people that we became super close, one of my best friends. And he coached me up to, essentially Series A, because that was where he was super familiar with. As we go to the next stage of our company, we just made a super crucial hire. But the number one thing that I wanted someone who's seen the movie business. I wanted to hire someone who took a company from 30 employees to 1,300. Because, like, seeing the movie is almost it's a competitive advantage, and it's something that isn't in our culture. It doesn't trickle down. And there's a lot of ways to. We know how to start a small business, barbershop, or whatever the case may be. We know how to even create a record company. We can start a record company with nothing because we've seen the blueprint.
Right.
I'm trying to create the blueprint for us so that Andre can share it, other people can share it. It should be shareable. Even today, right now, I co-founded 3 other companies, and just because I want to be a part of the blueprint, and I want to get them to my stage faster, because that's what makes Silicon Valley great. There's a lot of blueprints there, and people follow a path that's already in front of them. They go to the same type of investor, they get the same type of team, they do the same type of traction that equates to the same type of acquisition. It's not an art. It's actually science.
There it is.
Great. I want to loop this back to the STEM thing as well. I mean, President Obama, recently just allotted about $240 million to help with help young girls and boys pursue STEM careers. I want to ask you, do you think that it's obvious that we got to start with the K through 12 and sort of get them involved, but is it too late for the folks that are beyond the K through 12, like the people right now in this, and these young people in the college stage who maybe have these ideas, kind of what Akili talking about, have these thoughts to maybe try to get to these folks as well, so we can make a change and make some strides immediately? I think I guess the question I'm asking is, we know where we have to go. We always have to start K through 12, but isn't there things we can be doing right now to make an impact?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Rodney and I, the one thing he and I both have in common is that neither of us code, right? Neither one of us actually codes. I think we both are probably strong in ideation. Yep. We're both strong in logical thinking. We're both strong in strategic thinking. But neither of us code. And I know a lot of folks now, it's not too late, because if you have a great idea, the real key is what initiative do you have, to pursue it. That's the real key and the real challenge. And I think a lot of that is just seeing examples of people that are similarly situated to you and the fact that they're doing it. So, again, I think that's what Rodney and I are well positioned to do, and certainly what we're conscious of and will do. But I understand as well the need to plant the seeds, by the way, in K through 12. I think President Obama's initiative is phenomenal, because at the end of the day, this isn't just even an issue for our community. This is an American issue.
Absolutely. Right?
We need to stay competitive globally, and we can't afford to exclude people from that competition. We need folks in every community, every race, gender, creed. I mean, we need everyone to participate in that, because, by the way, folks in China right now are going extremely hard to try and beat us.
Absolutely.
In the tech race, so to speak. So, it is very necessary for this to be opened up for, all folks to get access. If you have a great idea, you're American, we need your ideas, because we need to compete. So I think that's the major point that I see.
I think you bring up a great point about, I'm glad you brought this up, a great point about the idea that the tech, being involved in the tech world is not necessarily limited to, the science, engineering, and mathematics field. I mean, there's plenty of people who are idea people who have these wonderful ideas, and the beauty of where we are with our applications of tech is just the average person can have this wonderful idea and collaborate with some other folks to help execute this idea and still, make an impact and be in this space and inspire others. And I think that's what you guys are doing as well.
I mean, I definitely respect that and hear that. But I know you guys aren't saying this, but I think that you are saying that we need to inspire our young folk to be more invested in terms of science and mathematics, so we don't have a dependency on others for our ideas, like in terms of us being able to execute our ideas with our own skill set. And so, I think that, again, what you guys are doing is great. I applaud you. I want to ask, I don't know if you guys went down to South by Southwest, but what was it like down there in the sense of us in that space? Are we? Do you think there's more of a proliferation of us in recent years, or do you think it's still like a very small community of us even going to the South by Southwest festival in terms of technology?
Were either of you at South by Southwest?
Yeah, I was at South by Southwest. I can't think of the group. It's there's did you guys go? It's like a, it's not Blacks in Tech, but it's a group that is part of that's integrated into South by Southwest, and they have curated Black events, so to speak, or for minorities. I mean, my overall opinion is. Definitely where I was at, I didn't see anyone like me. So I did go to some of their events, but with the events that I spent the majority of my time, I was the only person like that present, and most of the cases, I didn't see any other. I'm connected to. And this was actually probably legal help. I'm connected to a company called MediaLink, and there's an executive there by the name of Andre Williams, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but she kind of coordinated a group that showed up for happy hour on the Monday of South by Southwest, and I actually met patriarchs the African American tech community that I didn't know existed. It was, there was some interest. I mean, there were folks there that had, started tech companies in the early 2000s and sold them for $30-40 million. Of course, they're not huge companies, and you're not going to see them on the cover of Wall Street, but they did it before.
Right.
And it was some other people there, and it was interesting. So I think that was really helpful. I think that we're not there. I mean, we work at some of the companies that are there, and we maybe even leaders at some of the companies there, but we're definitely not. We're not the founders. We're not the thought leaders.
Got you.
So that's just my opinion.
No, that's fine. We that's something we've been talking about in the past. We're talking about South by Southwest. That's something we've been bringing up. So when we had you guys here, we wanted to ask you about that. But we're actually running out of time. And we definitely want to get into, have you guys back to be able to get into the specifics of the apps. I'd like to have you guys back individually and really get into, the apps themselves, because I want to get into and listener and get do a deeper dive into both of those separately. But in the meantime, Rodney, why don't you tell people where they can find and check out listener, and where they can find you.
Yeah, listener. I mean, all the information is usually on listener.com, LISNR.com. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Rodney B. Williams. Please disregard my rant if you get any. I tend to be vocal sometimes. But I mean, that's what you can find it. I hope you guys support listeners as a product and a technology. And thank you.
Of course. And Andre, what about Where can we find information about that?
Yeah, so you can visit uno.co, yuno.co, and throw your email in there. We're actually retooling the whole platform, and we're going to be releasing it here in the next few months. And it's going to be big. We've got over 200 partners, some of the best brands now: Macy's, Saks, Neiman Marcus, all those kind of folks.
Wow, great!
And over 5 million products that we're pushing, and and all throughout social media, you can find us with Shop That's our handle. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're even on LinkedIn. So if you want to find us, check us out, and remember, you're too important to pay full price. So join the movement. This is a big movement.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on, and definitely want to have you guys on individually again in the future to talk a little further about these. We'll unpack them both. But thank you both for coming on the show and enjoying this conversation. And we hope to hear from you very soon.
Yeah, I want to second that, man. You guys continue to build and grow, man, and we support you. I think it's dope to see you guys doing it, and definitely thank you for coming on the show. I hope to have you back, man.
Okay.
No doubt. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
And that's going to do it for us here
Thank
as
you,
well.
guys.
Of course, Rodney. That's going to do it here for us on Geek Nerd Tech. Akili, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Akili Shine, AKILISHINE. And where can they find you, sir?
You can find me on Twinstagram. on Twitter and Twinstagram. Twitter and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell. And also here on our sister network, BHL, sister network AfterBuzz, doing Mad Men and some other shows. And I'll be on Popcorn. I'll be on I forget the name of the show. I'll be on Anatomy of a Movie very shortly, talking about Fast 7, Furious 7. Where can we find you? I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm having a stroke over here.
It's okay. You can find me all over the social media and the interwebs at aTorres890. You can also find me at our sister network AfterBuzz TV for Face Off, Castle, and hopefully some new shows that will be coming out that I can't really say right now. Also, my family and I have been working with kids for basketball and things like that. So we have our own team. It's called VT Elite. We are going to be sending them to an East Coast tournament in Miami, so we would all really appreciate it if we can, we're going to need help sending 40 kids to Miami, so we need all the help we can get. If you can go to VT Elite, basketball.com and put in just a little donation, me and my family would greatly appreciate it.
Fantastic. Check that out. VT Elite. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you for joining us. Thanks again, Rodney and Andre, for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
from producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.